Yeah, another great SEC weekend. Great team coming in. A lot of success historically, but also obviously they have one of their better teams this year, so we'll have to be ready.
Raise your hand. We got a mic to you. We'll start with Dave.
Mark, I know nobody's happy with 1-5 in the SEC, but you guys were in the same spot last year. How much have you brought that up, if at all, to the team this year?
Well, you say it, you don't talk about it too much because you don't want to get in the habit of thinking getting 105, 1-5 start is okay. So you make sure they know it in a way that they know they can bounce back, but you also don't want them to think it's okay either.
We'll go to left, Colin.
Do you know what the weekend rotation's going to look like at this moment, I guess, going into the weekend?
Yeah, we'll go Lloyd, Morgan, and TBA.
Back, John.
Did you tweet that out officially? Who was the first one to get that tweeted out?
What did you see, what did you see in Daniel that made you want to put him there, and also with Wesley, what makes you like him out of the bullpen?
Well, he's just had better success out of the bullpen. I mean, the stats are very clear that Wesley was in the ones in his ERA out of the bullpen, and as a starter, not so much. So, some decisions are pretty easy to make. Danny has done enough now in his smaller roles, and he did fine on the Tuesday night that he started, that he gets a shot. And we'll see how he does. Hopefully he does great.
Colin.
What has been the emphasis, I guess, to your hitters moving into this series? What do you like to see them do better against Auburn this weekend?
Well, we're a premier power team. We're second in the country in homers, but it's not translating to enough runs because we're not getting on base enough and we're striking out too much. So that is a constant emphasis, and we are working on it. We are working on it mentally, physically, mechanically, all those things. So it's very clear to everybody in this building that is what needs to change and improve.
What do you feel like has made this Auburn team so successful this year?
Well, they have an extremely talented pitching staff. Power arms, much like everything we've seen so far in the league this year, just power arms, and they start with pitching, but they also have elite speed. They've got 41 stolen bases, and they're an experienced veteran offensive team. They've got a lot of returning players that were key for their success last year. So it's a team that is just it's pitching and defense, and then very opportunistic and athletic on offense.
Middle, Craig.
Talk about trying to cut down on the strikeouts. I know it can be kind of hard to diagnose for the team as a whole, but do you need to see better plate discipline, better swings? What particular?
All of the above. Some guys need to do a better job shortening their swings with 2 strikes and giving team at bats. Some guys need to stop swinging at balls out of the strike zone. Some guys need to be more aggressive on balls away from them. It's a variety of things. We've identified them clearly for the players. They know what they need to work on, and now we need to fix it together.
Back to left, Colin.
What did you see out of Joel Brewer to put him in the starting lineup Tuesday? And I guess, is he a factor in the outfield going forward?
Well, with the injuries we've had, obviously guys are getting opportunities. He had an opportunity the other night. I think he did okay, but I still think he has a ways to go before we feel like he can be a regular out there at this level.
John.
You've mentioned cutting down on strikeouts, so this may not be an appropriate question, but Josiah Seitler has struck out a lot, but he hasn't gotten a lot of opportunities lately. Is he doing anything to kind of improve himself and his standing to get into the lineup at all anymore?
Well, he works extremely hard. This is not a effort issue. This is not anything other than he needs to get better at this level making contact. He has great power. He just hasn't been able to show that against pitchers in games. And so he's not a guy we've given up on by any stretch, but you need to be ready. You don't want to throw a kid into a situation he's not ready for. He's had 10 at-bats. He's had 7 strikeouts, and that's our biggest problem as a team. So the combination of those two things makes it hard at this point, but by the same token, if we have injuries, we don't give up on anybody. So he's working extremely hard as anybody. He's trying to make the adjustments necessary to play at this level. And at some point, if he starts to show that those are taking in, being used properly, and he is starting to make more contact, and you can judge in practice as a guy making progress. When he gets to the point where it looks like he won't be overmatched, maybe a little bit like he was early on, he'll get his opportunity.
Yeah, you mentioned just not being quite ready. But before the season started, you said sometimes you play guys with upside and the high ceiling and just kind of deal with some of the struggles. Is it just he wasn't quite at the point where you thought he would be to be able to not only produce but to kind of reach the ceiling to kind of
Yeah, there's a fine line there. You want them to develop, but you also don't want them to be so overwhelmed that it could destroy their confidence completely. I mean, it's much like a quarterback. That if you throw him out there too early, if he's not quite ready, it can destroy their confidence, and it's hard to recover from. I think a kid like that's very talented, but needs some more development. You don't want to hinder them long term by putting them in a situation that might overwhelm them. And so, again, he has talent. He needs to get up to speed where he can compete against this kind of pitching.
Kind of off topic a little bit, but has George Cleel shown you anything that you didn't expect from him coming into this year?
No, he's been a very good defender for us. We thought that he might have some adjustments offensively, and that's exactly what we've seen. I'm encouraged by him that he of our guys, he doesn't strike out at a very high rate. So I think that means that the hand-eye coordination is good enough that if he continues to get stronger, he can be more of a factor offensively. But when we signed him, we knew there was a chance might lose LT. There was a chance we might lose one of our high school recruits that was a shortstop coming in. So at the time we signed him, we thought we better go sign a really good defender, and whatever he gives us offensively will be a bonus, and that's what it's been. And we just want to continue to see his offense get better.
Coming from Australia, he's talked about playing Australian rules football, cricket, stuff like that. What do you think of cross-training stuff like that, playing other sports?
I mean, I'm all for guys playing other sports. I think it helps their competition. It helps their athletic ability. I'm all for kids playing sports. When they get to college, they can specialize, but there's so many players that are in professional sports now that played all sports growing up, so I'm all for it.
Yes. Cam's the guy that's come along recently. I think he leads the SEC in appearances. Just what have you seen out of him, and especially a guy that can come out and give you that height and arm angle and things like that from him out?
Yeah, Cam's a great guy. He's an example of it doesn't matter how much fanfare you have coming in. At this level, you have a lot of guys coming in with a lot of press and high rankings, and they're supposed to be the next greatest thing. And some guys come in very much under the radar. Sometimes they come in on no scholarship, and they work really hard, and they pass all those famous guys. And he's an example of that. He came in with very little fanfare, has worked extremely hard, has maximized his ability, and now is a guy that's 92 to 94 with a really good slider, a great spin rate, and he's one of our key guys. So to me, he's a great example of press. Clippings mean very little when you advance to this level. It's about what you do once you get here.
Mark, looking at the way that Sawyer has been kind of inconsistent, do you take a look at moving Brett to the back end and make him the closer?
Well, if you look at Saturday night, we kind of did. If you look at some situations when we've had a chance to win, he's been the guy there. Sawyer will be fine. Again, we've said this a million times. He's a competitor. He just has to get right again. He just has to. And if he does, our results this year and our record would be very different if Sawyer was right. But we got to help him get right again.
Would it surprise you to know, based on his personality, that George has broken bones of other players playing Australian rules football?
Yes. Maybe there's a dark side of George we just haven't seen yet, but yeah, that's a tough sport. That's a real tough sport. So we're trying to get that personality out of him on the field, baseball wise too.
So he hasn't been the clubhouse bully yet?
No, not yet, and I don't anticipate that happening. You're not allowed to have bullies these days, so we won't have any bullies in the locker room.